Hey everyone, that's right, it's Coach Tan back in business again here, the So What podcast. And what are we going to be talking? Well, it's the beginning of 2026, so we're going to be talking about goals and how to stay present and how to just like relax and vibe in the goal and not stress yourself out. I will tell you, I've coached a lot of folks about goals, and I feel like one of the things that has really helped refocus and reshape how you look at goals is to stop thinking of them as in a straight line. Goals are not a straight line. They are not, this is what I want and this is what's going to happen. Rarely, in my experience, is it that clean. I try to have folks imagine it's like a branch, right? It's like a tree branch. It's a tree that branches off, and your goals are that tree, but be ready for it to branch off in those goals and look very differently. So what do I mean? I will tell you one of my favorite things that happened this past year is, my son picked up golfing. If you know me, you've heard this story. And that kid, every chance he got, that if he wasn't playing baseball, he was out there golfing. And all of his friends were better than him. They'd all been playing a lot longer than him. And he decided he's going to, golf left-handed and do his thing and learn it. And I will tell you, I don't know how he didn't break, all these golf clubs, because it is painful. If you have ever tried to play golf, you know how difficult it is. And, he wanted to be a great golfer with be able to hang with his buddies, but all he wanted was a birdie. Like, he is plugging along. And I will tell you, I think, by the end of 2025, he was like, all right, it's just not going to happen. So then what happened? 2 days before the end of the year, the kid gets his first birdie, right? And we're in Palm Springs, beautiful scenery. I don't know what it was. It's all that magic, I guess, is what made that goal a reality. And it definitely did not look the way that he thought, because I will tell you, the other thing that happened is it was almost a hole in one. It was like inches from a hole in one. So pretty amazing. But it reminded me, when listening to that, when watching him through it all, like how you can try to plan as best as you want and can, and you set like, okay, I want to do this by this month and that month, but you just have to be open that it is going to look differently. I will tell you that when I came out of college, my first two goals, if you knew me, was I was going to coach and coach softball, and I was going to own a restaurant, because I had been talking about it my whole life with my grandparents. And I will tell you that it surprised the heck out of me that the first coaching job that I was offered was not softball, the sport I had been playing in baseball my whole entire life. No, it was field hockey. All of a sudden I get a call, and sure, I love field hockey and all of that, but I would have never thought that that was how I was going to get my way into, the world of coaching and getting into coaching softball. And I went right from college to coaching college, which also was not at all what I thought was going to happen. But I went with it. I loved it. And I actually, as people know, went backwards. I coached college, high school, then went into Little League, and then my kid. And it just, it surpassed any goal that I could have ever set for myself when I was in college. And owning a restaurant, I will tell you, yes, I went and opened a restaurant. It was successful. I thought I was going to die from the stress, but it was crazy. But it taught me a hell of a lot more than I ever thought as a kid, when I was sitting on my grandparents' couch thinking that that was, what I wanted for myself. I will tell you that owning that restaurant changed me, and it helped me grow in ways that I would have never thought or expected a goal could do for me. And I will tell you that both those goals together, coming together, you told me that was going to help me land a unbelievable job for many, many years, in creating an unbelievable work team versus a team on a field, I would have told you, you're crazy. What the hell are you talking about? That is not a goal of mine. That is not something I want. And I will tell you those were some of the best years of my life, was managing that team at Kaiser. And in healthcare. And I will tell you, the other amazing thing is, even though that restaurant ownership almost put me in the ground, when everything kind of fell apart in my life, when I ended up, for the first time in my life, being laid off and had to refocus and had to shift goals, it was because of what I went through and endured with that earlier goal of owning a restaurant that allowed me the self-belief to know that I could make it, right? And going into my own coaching, real estate business, and all the things that I am now doing, I had built that up inside of myself to know that I could do those things because of those previous goals that I had set for myself of owning a restaurant. And I have future goals. Yes, one day I hope to be on, the shelves, and I promised myself I'm going to write a children's book. I know I want to RV around the U.S., and I know that I will create these goals. But what I have learned, and what I hope you take away from today, is that don't make it black and white. I know it's going to look different. I don't know. Maybe my RV is not going to be an RV. I don't know. Maybe I'm touring the world in a different way. Or the dream of the children's book, I don't know. Maybe I'm doing a children's podcast. I have no idea. But what I can tell you is allowing yourself to be present in your goal and just stick with the fact, yes, this is something I want to attain, and it might look differently. The stress is going to go away, and it is going to feel so much better. And those branches from that tree of that goal that you have set, I will tell you, some beautiful things are going to be there for you if you allow for it. And don't be so hard on yourself. If the goal doesn't look exactly the way that you drew it up, look at what has come from when you set the goal, and shown itself throughout that time, and where you're at. Because I am sure if you just slow down and take pressure off of yourself and say, so what? It isn't gonna maybe you want to be a millionaire at the end of the year, but hey, you know what? Maybe, you've made $1,000 more a month, that's still a win, right? And it's a win that you should, celebrate. And it doesn't have to always be exact, I guess is what I'm saying. And allow yourself, to fail throughout it, because failures allow us to explore and look at things and reshift and remake goals. And, they look sometimes better than what we even imagined, if we just let go of the pressures that we put on ourselves with our goals. So I hope that's helped. I hope you build your tree. And hit me up in DMs. Let me know, what you're planning, what you're thinking. I would love to hear about it. And 2026, there's a lot of crazy shit going on in the world, as you know, but plan for your goals. Plan what you want. How can you feel better as each day, each week, each month, and as the year gets closer to an end, how can you make that birdie? All right, everyone. Hope this helped, and see you next week.